Trojan Sports Now.
The football team is looking to gain win number 3 of the season as they head to Moscow, Idaho to take on newcomer to the conference, Idaho. The football team is making a long trip to Idaho to take on one of the newest members to the Sun Belt Conference. Troy takes on Idaho, who is currently 1-8 on the season and 9th in the Sun Belt.
They know what they're doing. Say that these people we're going to face this week do too, and certainly Coach Petrino, Paul he's been at a lot of different levels and been successful, and what I see on tape with them is the same kind of thing that we've seen at Arkansas, and same kind of thing we've seen at Western Kentucky. Prolific offenses, and you got to understand that they're going to stress you as best they can.
The team's travel plans for the game include flying out to Moscow, Idaho, but the players say that this doesn't mess up their practice plans.
We know it's a part of football, traveling, so I don't think it'd be a big issue for us all. We all understand what we got to do. We got a job, and we're going to do it to the best of our ability.
And we still practice. We're still going to get practice in that morning before we leave, so it's the same thing that we do every week, just a flight this week instead of a bus drive.
And with another win under their belts, the players say this past weekend's victory will help them in this upcoming game.
Most definitely, our team is focused like we've always been, and understand that when we play our game, nobody can stop us.
It was big for all of us. We all needed it just to get our mind off all that negativity going around. That win just kind of gives us a little something to roll on to this week.
The football team is 2-8 overall on the season and 2-4 in conference play.
The volleyball team will look to salvage the rest of their season and break their 16-game losing streak against a familiar Texas State team. The last time the Trojans took on Texas State was early in the season, and the Bobcats beat the Trojans with a score of 2-3 in a 5-set match. Since the last matchup, the Bobcats now have a record of 17-11, and their home record is 10-4. Away, the Trojans struggle with a record of 1-9. Head coach Sonny Kirkpatrick says he knows it will be a tough matchup away from home.
We couldn't really slow them down very much. We did a really good job against their two really nice outside hitters, but we just couldn't slow them down on the right side. So we're putting a key emphasis on that side, and putting the ball away when we have opportunities too on our side will help us as well.
The match will be this weekend in San Marcos, Texas.
The men's basketball regular season play will officially start this weekend, and it will quickly get into full swing. Regular season play will open with Troy taking on Bruton Parker. The Barons have already opened their season. They are currently 3-1, the only loss for them coming on the road. Last year, Bruton Parker finished its season 9-15 overall on the season. Troy finished last season 11-20. Then on Monday, the Trojans will take on SEC opponent Ole Miss in Trojan Arena. Ole Miss has already opened its season like Bruton Parker, but the Rebels only have played one game in which they won 97-58. Last season, Ole Miss finished with a 19-14 overall record. With the season about to start, Devin Smith gives us a look to see how the Trojans are preparing for the season ahead.
Net swishes and sneaker squeaks. For most people, those familiar sounds coupled together means the long-awaited return of basketball season is finally ended. An almost entirely new Troy Trojans roster means the return to the hardwood will come with more than a few questions to be answered for second-year coach Phil Cunningham and staff. And there is still a lot of court to cover before the season opener against the Bruton Parker Barons Friday evening.
Trying to get a few more things in that we hadn't worked on, because when you play that first game, you want to make sure you've covered every situation. This time of the year, it's kind of odd because you want to keep moving with what you've been working on, but you got to make sure you get all those things in too. You have to be prepared for whatever zone you might face, whatever pressure you might face. So we're just finalizing those details and try to keep on moving and getting better every day as well.
As opening tip-off nears, coaches have little time left to implement new game plans and strategies. As for the players, a long off-season of familiar faces has them ready to accept a new challenge.
This time of year, the players are just foaming at the mouth. They're ready to go. They don't care who we play. If we played the Atlanta Hawks, they'd be excited about it and think we could beat them.
While the Atlanta Hawks won't be on the schedule anytime soon, there are still plenty of tough opponents on the Trojans' schedule. After finishing with a losing record last year, this new athletic bunch is chomping at the bit to get on the court and make a statement.
I think we're all excited and all ready to go. I think we all, want to just work hard and just want to beat up on everybody. I know last year's season wasn't very successful for us. I think we all wanted to go further, you know, but unfortunately we didn't.
With only 2 returning players from last year's squad, there is plenty of room for improvement if the roster can stay healthy. And Cunningham believes that his defense can be a key in making the Trojans a championship contender this season. Devin Smith, Trojan Sports Now.
The first 2 games of the season are in Trojan Arena, and then the men will have 2 games on the road.
The women's basketball team will have their season opener against Auburn this Friday. Last season, the Trojans struggled with their record being 12-18. The Trojans' away record was no different as they struggled on the road with a record of 3-11. Although Auburn's overall record was 19-15, most of their wins came from their home court, with the record being 15-4. The Trojans then turn around to play a tough Clemson team on Sunday. Last season, the Tigers had an overall record of 15-16 as well as a home record of 10-6. However, this is a new season, and Chagna Rigby says even though it will be a tough weekend, this is exactly the type of teams they want to play.
We had very good intentions in scheduling things this way. We wanted to come in at a higher level than if we just brought in somebody that, maybe we didn't have to be at our best for. And it has changed the way that we have coached in this preseason. Instead of having an okay day rebounding and I kind of go to bed and get a good night's sleep, I might stay up and try to think of some more drills or some more motivation ways to get more rebounds, because we play Auburn first and we play Clemson second. We don't have a warm-up game. We don't have a few weeks to get ready. We've got to come out of the gate playing really well.
The Trojans will play this weekend at Auburn.
And every week we'll be taking a look at our former Trojan football players and how they are doing.
Jacob Harrison gives us a look at this week's Trojan in the pros.
Thanks, guys. DeMarcus Ware and the Denver Broncos had a first-half scare against the winless Oakland Raiders, but a Peyton Manning-led offense quickly took care of any upset speculations. In a game where most of the starters were off the field in the third quarter, Ware posted 2 tackles as the Broncos dealt the Raiders a 41-17 defeat. And Ozi Umenyiora finally got to the quarterback for the first time in a month. His last sack was against his old team, the New York Giants, and was his only sack of the season up to this point. Umenyiora posted 1.5 sacks on Tampa Bay's Josh McCown, while teammate Jonathan Massaquoi failed to post any stats. Falcons, however, seem to be back in the winning form as they won 27-17 over the Buccaneers. And Leodis McKelvin is still playing well as he racked up 6 tackles in a 17-13 defeat from the Kansas City Chiefs. The Bills will look to right the ship next week against the Miami Dolphins, and based on his post-game comments last Sunday, McKelvin is more than ready for the Dolphins. DeJuan Harris took advantage of Aaron Rodgers' incredible first-half performance Sunday night. Harris was able to see 8 carries and produce 52 yards. The Packers won 55-14 over the Chicago Bears. And wrapping things up with Mario Addison, the Panthers' defensive end is still being held from the quarterback, failing to register a sack in his 5th straight game since opening the first 3 games of the season with 5. Addison isn't struggling alone, however, as the Panthers fell to the Philadelphia Eagles 45-21. And that was a look at the Trojans in the pros. Until next time, I'm Jacob Harrison. Thank you for joining me.
The Trojan women's golf team are the defending Sun Belt Conference champs.
But there's one member of the team that battles more than opponents on the course. Colin Cahill explains.
Being a Division I student athlete isn't easy, and in most cases isn't for everyone. But on Troy University's campus, Langley Vinoy is doing that and more.
SAC's been a wonderful opportunity. It's opened so many doors. It's led me to relationships that I've built with faculty members in the athletic department. It's led me to other relationships with athletes that I've met. I've learned so much from other athletes about how they go through their daily lives.
A leader on Troy University's women's golf program, Vinoy understands what it takes to be a leader on the course and off of it as well.
I kind of feel like I always tried to just lead by example. It's different, I think, coming in with 5 girls that are all the same age as you. We have 4 seniors now, 1 redshirted, and all of us have our own leadership roles, but I feel like I still try to just lead by example.
Probably the most impressive thing about Vinoy is the daily battle she has with fibromyalgia that has limited her to just playing golf at the Division I level.
I've always said that God gives his toughest battles to the strongest people, so I try to look at it that way. Definitely, I have to do a few more things than I think some people have to do as far as health and keeping my body ready to perform at the high level of being a college athlete.
Going into her 4th and final year here at Troy University, Langley Vinoy has many different tips for future athletes.
The biggest thing that I would like to share with other athletes is to not stress out. I'm a type A personality. I'm a perfectionist. I think to be a golfer, you somewhat have to be.
Vinoy also had one last bit of advice.
Cherish the moment and to enjoy it and relish in it and have fun. And then lastly, make sure you get your sleep, because sleep is the key to life.
Colin Cahill, Trojan Sports Now.
That's all the time we have for Trojan Sports Now. Check us out online at trojanvision.troy.edu to catch anything you missed.
For Clay Yeager, I'm Amy Austin. Thanks for watching, and as always, go
Trojans!
Trojans.